If I had just 20 minutes to look under the hood of your advisory practice and tell you why you feel so slammed all the time, I'd only really need a few things. And it's almost never you need more discipline or you just need to work a whole lot harder. When I audit an advisor's back end, what I'm really looking for, if I only had 20 minutes, there's a lot that I would look for, but if I only had 20 minutes, there would be four core kind of processes that I would ask you about to see if there's a couple of big red flags. And usually within about 5 minutes of seeing how things are set up, I can tell you exactly why you feel like the bottleneck in your business. So, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the quick questions that I asked to get kind of a fast snapshot of your firm, the four kind of core systems that I scan in every advisory business if I only had 20 minutes, and then how to run your own 20-minute backend audit and then decide what to fix first. So, if you've ever wondered, what would Libby look at if she looked at my operations? This is that episode. And if you're new here, I'm Libby Greiwe, host of The Efficient Advisor. I built and sold a seven-figure, 100% referral-only planning practice as a solo advisor, working 3 days a week. And now I help other advisors build advisory firms that don't rely on them working 60 hours a week. So when I say audit, I don't mean this big 3 day offsite with sticky notes covering the walls. Do I think you should also do those? Yes, absolutely. I love, if you've listened to my content, you know I love a good CEO day. I love a good CEO retreat. But today I'm talking like if you had only 20 minutes with me on Zoom, where we'd screen share, right? I'm not rebuilding anything on this call, right? I'm just diagnosing. And that's what we're going to do today. So think of it like going to a really good physical therapist. They watch you walk, they poke two or three spots, and they say, it's your hip, not your ankle, right? That's what we're doing today. So here's the structure that I use every time. First 5 minutes, I get a snapshot of your firm and what your week looks like. The next 10 minutes, we walk through these kind of four core systems. Then the last 5 minutes, I tell you what your bottleneck is and what you need to do to fix it. You can literally follow this structure on yourself right after you listen. And grab a pen if you can. Even jotting quick notes on your phone while you're walking, on your treadmill, or whatever you're doing will help. Okay, so let's start with the first 5 minutes, the snapshot. So when I'm on a call with an advisor, I'll say something like, okay, give me the 60-second version of your firm. And here's what I'm listening for: rough AUM or revenue, kind of how you charge, how you make money, how many households you serve. So, how many clients do you have that you're actively engaged with? How many people are on your team and what kind of roles do you have? And then what does your actual calendar look like? Like, tell me about your day. So I'll ask, walk me through a typical week. How many client meetings? How many team meetings? Do you have blocked CEO time? How are you spending your time in kind of a typical week? Now, it's different if you do surge meetings or cluster meetings like I did. I didn't surge, I did clusters, or if you're having the same week on repeat, right? It kind of depends what we're talking about, but I'd want to know both, right? What does a typical week look like for you? And then where in that week do you feel the heaviest? Which part of your week makes you think, you know what, something has to change? Most of you have a very, very, very similar story. I'm in client meetings most of my day. My team is constantly sending me emails or like messages on Slack if you use Slack. And my strategic projects live either in my head or on a legal pad on my desk. I was just on a discovery call for our group coaching program the other day. An advisor picked up his computer, turned it around to show me his desk just covered in post-it notes. And that's not judgment, right? Been there, done that. It's just data that we can use. And so then I ask one more question that kind of stings a little bit, but like, what is one project that has been on your list for at least a year that you just cannot seem to get to? 9 out of 10 times, it's something like, we need to document our onboarding or really work on streamlining our X, right? We really do need to build a better client service model. I haven't looked at that in a while. Or I really need to train up my team so that they can own more and have them take more accountability and more control over some of the stuff. So, right there, in those first 5 minutes, I already know your capacity picture. I have a good feeling for your main pain point and the project that you have been avoiding that you know you need to do to fix something in the back end of your business. Okay. So you can do this yourself. So pause this episode or come back to it later and just write AUM, households, team size, right? 60-second description of your team. Then what does my week actually look like? And what am I spending my time on? What is the heaviest part of that week? Like, what is the biggest thing that feels hard, that sucks your energy, where you don't feel like you're in a flow state? Now, if I had more time with you, more than this 20 minutes, I would also ask, like, when do you feel like your energy is at its best? When do you feel like you are stepping into that queen or king that you were meant to be? Like, when are you in your flow state? But for this one, I want to know, when are you not in your flow state? When does stuff feel hard? Then, what is the one project that I have been avoiding for literally a year? That's your snapshot. Okay, so then we would move into the meat. So, kind of the four core systems. And this is not the same as the 8 core processes that we talk about. Again, if I had 3 days with you, or if you joined our group coaching program, we'd go through way more. This is for that 20-minute, super quick and down and dirty snapshot of your practice. Okay, so I'm always looking at pretty much the same 4 things when I have just a finite amount of time. What does it look like for a new client to experience you? What is your prospect to client and then first 100 days experience? What is your ongoing service model look like? How frequently are you meeting with clients? What is your meeting cadence? What does it look like and feel like to be a client of yours? Tell me about what happens when you have a service request come in or a money movement. What actually happens? I'm going to walk you through them here in a second. And then tell me about your project and practice improvement pipeline. So tell me about the projects that you have and how you plan to have them tackle and how you organize them. Okay, so let's go through this. So new client onboarding. So first, I'll get into onboarding. I'd say something like, okay, when a new client says yes to you, walk me through, or prospect says yes to you, walk me through step by step. What does it look like from I'd love to meet with you to fully becoming a client? And if you have it written down anywhere, literally share your screen and show me now. Then I'm looking for a few things, right? Now I'm looking for, is there one documented workflow or is it different every time? I'm looking for, does it live in a CRM or a project management tool or even a Google Doc, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. Or does it just live in your head or your team's head? Does your team own clear pieces of it, or are you the default of everything? So, if you listen to the show, you know I'm a big stickler on having the task, but also the when it's supposed to occur and then who is responsible for doing the thing. So, the red flags that I see in this area all of the time are the advisor saying, well, it kind of depends on the client and how we got them. Or the email inbox is the system, or there's no standardized like welcome email, or well, we don't have a standard checklist for that, or we don't have a standard like here's what you can expect working with us script. So if your onboarding process changes based on how busy you are that week, there's a sign that your backend is running you instead of you running the business. Okay, so the next thing, that ongoing service or review calendar. I'll ask this question. How do you decide who you're meeting with and when? Can you show me your service calendar? Again, pull up your screen, show me how you do strategy sessions, reviews, whatever you want to call them. I don't care if it's a fancy tool. I don't care if it's a spreadsheet. What I care about is that there is a clear cadence. Clients get X, B gets Y, C gets Z, right? A clients get this, B clients get this, C clients get this, or we only have one service model, and here's exactly what our clients can expect from us. It has to exist. I'm looking for it to exist outside of your brain. And I want your team to be able to see the exact same picture that you do. So it's not just on your desktop. Okay, so if the answer is, well, we get to everybody at some point, that is code for We're working off of vibes. We're working off of reactive, we're working reactively, like when a client calls in and just hoping nothing falls through the cracks. So this is usually where I find we're over servicing some clients. We are under servicing others. And there's a lot of mental load on you and your team to remember who you're due to see. Or the other thing I see frequently is that, well, we have a client service model, it's in our CRM, but we don't really follow it. And there's a lot of gaps and mistakes, or we haven't updated it in a while. Okay, so number 3 was what happens when you get a service request, like money movement, something like that. I'll ask this question. If a client emails you with a request, something like, can we move money? Can we update a beneficiary? I've got a question about XYZ. What happens? Walk me through the path. Then, where do those tasks live? So now, again, pull it up and show me. Show me on your screen where you can see all of the pending service requests that are happening for. And here's what I'm looking for in that. One central intake, like a shared inbox, a CRM queue, some sort of spreadsheet, versus requests kind of scattered and living with different people across your team, or random sticky notes. Then I'll look for clear owners. Who grabs what, and how do they know that it's theirs? And then I will look for some kind of status tracking, not just yeah, we're on it, or, I'm taking care of that. How do we actually know where it's at in the process? So the red flags here are you being CC'd on everything just in case, the team sending you messages, emailing you, Slack messages on every little step, letting you know where you're at in the process, or no visibility into what's open, what's waiting, and what's done. This is often where that waking up at 2 a.m., wondering if something slipped through the cracks comes from. Okay, the last one, project improvement and pipeline. So I will ask, where do all of your strategic projects live right now? What are the top 3 projects you wish you had time to work on this quarter? Then show me where those are written down and what your plan is around those. And honestly, often the answer is, well, I have a notebook, or we talk about them in our team meeting, but they don't really like live anywhere specific. And here's what I'm looking for. I am looking for, in this circumstance, a visible list of projects. Is there like someone owning them? Is there a name attached to them, right? Have we prioritized them? And is there any kind of timeline, or are all of these ideas just someday projects? If everything is someday and nothing is real, that tells me immediately why your backend never actually gets fixed and there is no structure or deadline. So in those 10 minutes, I'm not trying to fix anything, right? I'm just scanning, onboarding, prospect to client, service calendar, service requests, and then long-term improvement projects. And then I'm asking myself, which of these feels the most chaotic for this advisor right now? That's the bottleneck. That's what we then start to fix. So then the last 5 minutes, so we spent first 5 minutes learning about the firm and diagnosing a couple of things. Next 10 minutes, diagnosing those 4 core processes. Then the last 5 minutes, we are going to figure out your first move. So once I've seen your snapshot of those 4 systems, I boil it down to 3 questions. Number 1, where is the firm bleeding the most time? Number 2, what's causing the most stress and dropped balls, right? Because that impacts your client experience. And which one system, if we fixed it, would make everything else a little less chaotic? How do we make something a little bit easier? And sometimes it's really obvious, right? Sometimes, our onboarding process is a snowflake every time. It's unique and special. Or maybe it's the review calendar, it doesn't even exist. We don't have a client service model that's documented. Or maybe service requests, Libby, they're a total mess, right? And once I know that, I'll say to the advisor, okay, here's what I'm seeing. I'll reflect this back to them in very simple language. So I want you to do this for yourself. From what you've shown me, you're running a multi-million-dollar firm, or maybe a multi-6-figure firm out of your head. Onboarding changes every time. There's no central service queue. Your strategic projects live in a notebook. If we did nothing else, but pick one, like maybe standardize your onboarding process, or maybe it's just build a simple service calendar, you'd feel like a different human in 90 days, right? We just want to pick what is that one next move, not here is your 47-step plan to success. Just start with onboarding or start with your service calendar. That's it. One project, one quarter. That's exactly how I want you to use this episode. So let's turn this on you. When you have 20 minutes, and yes, you can find 20 minutes. I know it's hard, but here's what I want you to do. It's not a matter of finding it, it's really just a matter of making it happen. Step one, the 5-minute snapshot. Write down your rough AUM, your household, your team size, what a typical week actually looks like, meetings, email, admin time, what feels the heaviest, and then that one project that's been on your to-do list for over a year. Be brutally honest, no one else has to look at it. Then step two, this 10-minute systems scan. Give each of these a quick 1 to 5 score. Onboarding. 1 is only in my head, B, fully documented, team run. Service calendar. 1 is a we wing it. Number 5 is a clear cadence, visible to everybody. Service requests. Number 1 is inbox chaos or post-it note hell, all the way up to a 5, which is a single queue, clear owners. And then project pipeline. 1 is a someday list that lives in my brain. Number 5 would be a prioritized board. Don't overthink it. Just gut instinct those scores. Then the 5-minute decision. Look at your scores and ask, which one of these, if I moved it from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 4, would remove the most stress and free up the most time? Circle that one. That's it. Congratulations. You've just done what I would do on a 20-minute call with you. Now, the hard part is instead of saying, oh, I'll get to this when things slow down, you have to give it a deadline and you have to give it a container. Okay. For a lot of advisors, this is where the Systems to Scale group coaching program comes in. It kind of forces that back-end project to stop living on a legal pad and start getting implemented over the next 10 months. But even if you never join anything that I do, you can still take this audit and say, Q4 is the quarter that I fix my onboarding, or Q4 is the quarter I build out the service calendar that my team can run for me. One system, one quarter, over a couple of years, this is how you wake up one day with a business that no longer falls apart without you. Now, and I'm not saying you can fully, the goal is always, yeah, I'd love to have a business that runs without me. Realistically, in that career, if it's your business, you're always going to have some sort of role, even if it's a CEO, right? But if you do this 20-minute audit and realize like, okay, I actually don't want to fix this all alone, that's literally where our program comes in. It's what it's designed for. Over 10 months together, we map your client journey. We look at a lot of these systems. We build out some of the 8 core processes that every practice has, start to finish. We install simple visual workflows and templates and checklists that hopefully your team can run, or you can run consistently like a wash, rinse, repeat kind of thing every time. We build a weekly, quarterly, monthly, whatever makes the most sense for you and your business, operating rhythm that protects CEO time on your calendar. The goal is more capacity. The goal is more revenue. The goal is to reduce the number of hours. But for me, like the biggest thing of all, like, yeah, more money and more time is awesome, right? It's awesome. But it's reducing that mental load. It's you running the business instead of it running you. That is the most impactful thing for me. So if you want to see how that works, you can watch a short video on the program. You can check out more about the Systems to Scale group coaching program over at theefficientadvisor.com. But either way, my challenge to you is as follows. Don't just nod along to this episode and then roll your back-end project to the next quarter for the 11th time. Take 20 minutes, run this audit, circle the one system, and decide what you're going to fix, and then fix it. That is how you stop being the bottleneck of your practice and start being the CEO. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope this was helpful. Send it to another advisor who's always saying, hey, I'm just so behind. Once I get past this season, I think I'll have some more time to work on something. If you know someone like that, share this episode, and I will catch you next time on The Efficient Advisor.